right, we live. We live at this jam. Say no. All right, man. It's your boy Vic Raw. I've been out of the mix. I've been in the cut, and I'm here to say what's up. Even before I start, please give me a like for that YouTube algorithm, and feel free to follow me on the socials that will be on the screen. All right, so boom. So today we will be dissecting the rollout of Burna Boy's African Giant. Oftentimes people really look at the music that is made when it's released, but they fail to recognize the planning, the strategy, and the marketing that was put into the project. And today, in this digital age, when you're putting out a project, I mean, you really need that strategy that's implemented with it, because 50,000 songs are being uploaded to Spotify every day. There's a lot of artists trying to do their thing out here. So for you to be able to make an impact requires, again, a lot of marketing, a lot of time, a lot of strategy. So today we will be going into a little bit of African Giant. Even before we get into the dissection, a quick introduction to Burna Boy for my audience who are not familiar with him. He's a Nigerian artist that focuses on the Afrofusion niche. So for those of you who are not familiar with Afrofusion, the way he likes to describe it, I'll include it within the videos because he described it really well during his Breakfast Club interview. His claim to fame was a song named Soke. Soke went crazy. He built up his audience in Nigeria on top of already developing his audiences in the UK as well. From there, with the release of African Giant, this is where he's been able to transcend into the Western world and really do this thing. So without further ado, let's go into the breakdown of African Giant. One thing that I would like to highlight is the way that he released his singles. In my personal opinion, I think that the single approach is the way to go. For those of you who are not familiar with that approach, pretty much is when you release, songs over a short period of time to gauge an audience's interest and to also just, put stuff out there. That way you're able to get feedback, understand what your audience likes, and then works towards that. In fact, this is a strategy that a lot of artists on major labels use. They wait till they get that really hot single, and then that's when they would like to put their project out. So, let's think about Travis Scott when he released Astroworld. And, one of the singles that was already big on the project was Butterfly Effect. And that goes the same way. But in the case of Burna Boy, it's a little different because he started the rollout back in September of 2018. And his album released in July 2019. So if we look at that rollout is approximately 10 months, which is a very, very long rollout. Not to mention that the typical rollout that happens today is typically 2 weeks to 2 months. So that's just saying that Atlantic, his team, everyone around him was looking at him in the long run, not for the short run. They were trying to get a gradual build, strategically put himself in places where he'll be able to generate interest and generate buzz, and that's what he did. Now, one thing that I will speculate is that I have no clue whether this was the approach that they always had in mind. Like, for example, I don't know if they were like, okay, we're gonna release the singles and then we're gonna drop the album. Or maybe they were just like, we're gonna release the singles just to release the singles. And then when they saw like a buzz, maybe they were like, okay, let's convert all of this into an album. However, the first spark of interest, or the first buzz of news pertaining to African Giant, like on a bigger scale, came in April 2019 when he hosted a friends and family listening session.
The album's called African Giant. Yes. We're taking everybody back to your home, to where you're from. This is true. To your soul. Mm-hmm. For the A&Rs here, there's a couple songs. We're looking for some features. I'm not trying to send you guys emails, so this is the time you're gonna hear it. And let's do it.
So, oftentimes, the come up or the journey that an artist takes to stardom is often overlooked as well, because most people hop on the bandwagon when they see the numbers or they see, you know, everyone's interest that is peaked. And, you know, pretty much of that success has to go to his last single, Yay, which was released off of the Outside album. I mean, a song was played everywhere. Not only that, but typically like a song will get hot and it'll be on the street for maybe 6-8 months if you're lucky. A year is kind of pushing it today, but that song is still going. I'm not gonna say it's dead. However, it's really picked on, and a lot of people know him off of that song.
I learned all them words by myself. Listen.
But the main thing that I want to cover today has to do with the collaborations and the cosign that Burna Boy has gotten along this journey. So let's get into that. So the first cosign that I want to talk about is YouTube's Music Spotlight series. In that series, they did a short mini documentary about Burna Boy's life, his influences, how he got to where he is today. And I think this was very important because one, it allowed Burna Boy to be exposed to a new audience, and it also allowed that emotional connection to be facilitated with people who were already fans like me. Like myself watching it, I learned a lot of things about his life, how he came up, the struggles that he endured to be to the point where he is today. Pretty much they told his story in an eloquent way.
So I knew he wasn't going to be a great academic, but he was interested in music.
They would come to my house and all that, always compose rap songs and all that. The records that were in my house then were Fella's records and jazz records. So he listened to what I had in the house, I mean, every day. That was the grounding for what he's doing, because he's versatile.
All right, boom. So then we have the 2019 Coachella performance, and that did not come without its fair share in controversy. The main one being that the fact that Burna Boy was not happy with his name, the size of his name on the ticket. But outside of that, you know, it was really dope because not only did Burna Boy perform, Mr. Easy performed there as well, and it really showed the world that the West is now recognizing and, you know, trying to interact with artists that come from Nigeria, that come from Africa. So he killed the performance, he did what he did, and again, exposing himself, always being in the news and generating a buzz around his name, another cosign in the books. So the next cosign that I want to talk about is Jimmy Kimmel Live. Pretty much with late night TV show performances, this is for established acts, people that, you know, are typically on a major label that are about to release their project, so they're going on that promo run. This is done again for the other reasons why cosigns are done. Well, not necessarily, but the main reason is to expose people to a new audience. And if you look at that performance, number one, his stage presence was dope. Two, the band that he had was fire. Three, not only that, you know, the video went somewhat viral. As of today, the performance has over 1.2 million views on YouTube, and those numbers are only climbing. So, like, kudos to the team that's putting Burna Boy out. Anybody, when no one throws at you. Anybody, when let the carry body. I got something, I got something. Go back, So the next collaboration that I want to talk about is Burna Boy and Spotify. They teamed up to make a Burna Boy African Giant ATM, where it spit out African Giant currency when fans came to visit it. At first, you know, it was definitely a smart marketing tactic. As I did more research, I understood that Burna Boy was using it as an opportunity to shed light on the fact of the corruption that happens in Nigeria and the income inequality that so many people face. Kudos to him, and I think that was really dope. For artists, the one thing that I want to say is like, this is a marketing strategy, marketing tactic that is very expensive. So oftentimes, if you know your niche, if you have your brand, if you have your image established, try to figure out how you can collaborate with brands and get them to foot the bill. That way, you can really, expose yourself to a new audience. 1, 2, on another person's penny, and 3, at the end of the day, have people look at you and say like, wow, that was dope, that was creative, that was unique.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is Burna Boy. I've teamed up with Spotify to make the very first Burna bank where you can pull up and get all the Burna notes inspired by the African Giant album.
Outside of that, I talk about a few cosigns in the article, but I won't really go into detail with all of those. Other things that I would want to cover would be the Audio Mag Track Symphony, the features that he's done, and the press that he's gotten. Because even though now we live in an era where blogs are not really that important, blogs are very important, in terms of getting booked, in terms of recognition, in terms of people taking you seriously. Because once they see you on these, prominent websites and blogs and publications, they're like, okay, now we gotta level up and do something or collaborate with this artist. But in conclusion, I saw a tweet on my timeline like about a week ago, asking, is African Giant a classic already? And for me, I don't believe in the whole idea that, oh yeah, man, we gotta wait for some time and then we can be able to assess whether an album is a classic or not. I think once you're able to feel an impact that a project has had on the culture, then it is deemed a classic. And by that criteria, to me, African Giant is a classic, not only because of the topics that were talked about, but because of the impact that it had on the culture, the way that he was able to transcend into the Western world, do it very effortlessly, and also remain true to himself and true to his roots. Not saying that other African or Nigerian artists have not done this before, but Burna Boy has done it in a way where a lot of people are really anticipating his next steps, his next moves. So the real question is, African Giant was a dope project, but how will he follow it up? Anyways, it's your boy Vic Raw, and I'm out.
You shitty.
Thank you.